The Brandon Peters Show may contain explicit language and detailed plot points. For more information on the show, stay tuned to the end of the episode.
Summer, summer, summer of 86 at 40.
Welcome back to the Brandon Peters Show and the summer of 1986 at 40. A look back at the films that populated theaters across the United States 40 years ago and the pop culture that surrounded them. And joining me, as always, from Puck News and the Outside Scoop, which this week is Red Velvet Von Ragnar, a delicious scoop of our red velvet ice cream that is so tasty your tongue will stretch as long as Gene Simmons to have a lick, Scott Mendelson.
Happy to be here. I'm just remembering that when I first started watching the movie you're talking about, I started making these Twisted Sister jokes, and I realized, wait, that's not him. Damn it.
Yeah, we're not going to take that anymore. And from We Live Entertainment, out now with Aaron and Abe and the award-winning Two Black Guys Talk Godzilla. He wants his money back because there were no Ninja Turtles in the Manhattan Project. Aaron Neuwirth.
Ah, that movie. That's what it is. Hey, yeah, I'm here. And, thank you for saying all my titles correctly because, unlike some people, I do get respect.
No! Ba-dum-bum-bum-bum. All right, this episode will cover the weekend that was June 13th through 15th of 1986. Some show notes at the top here. Mona Lisa opens this weekend in 4 theaters, but we have moved it to next week to even out the number of movies. Rather than doing a 5er and a 3er, we're going to do a 4 and a 4. And we have also cut the movie Belisaire, The Cajun, which was only playing in 1 theater and had a pretty decent festival run in April leading up to this. So, to the cutting room floor with Belisaire, The Cajun. But this week, oddly enough, every episode is about kids and scholastics in some degree, college and high school. All 4 of them.
Yeah.
How'd that happen?
There's a lot of incestuousness in these films in terms of same songs, same supporting cast.
Yes, same songs. That's right.
This is a big weekend for Edie McClure, that's for sure.
I mean,
yeah.
It had been a while since I saw the Manhattan Project, but I was not expecting Jon Lithgow to jump on a parade float and start singing "Twist and Shout."
Yeah, then he murdered all those people.
Not the finger or the nail or whatever. I don't remember.
Yeah. All right. Anywho, we'll get to all those movies later in the show, but first we always start out with the news. News. All right. On June 9th, the Dow Jones Industrial Average hits a record 1,885.9 points. For those of you who care.
Good times will never end.
If it's a record, the rich people are doing well.
Progress is tilting upward, and it shall never come down again.
That means we can make a blanket statement that the country's doing well. All right. Same day, in a clash of future Baseball Hall of Fame starting pitchers, California Angel Don Sutton, with 298 wins, beats Tom Seaver of the Chicago White Sox with 306 wins, 3-0 at Comiskey Park.
I think there's a sub-news story there saying there's one orphan saying, "Hey, I'm that much closer to my dad coming back to get me."
Your dad doesn't love you. He's never coming back, you idiot. Excuse me.
All right. Same day again. Rogers Com report on the Challenger disaster blames Morton Thiokol. Suck it, Morton.
Blames who?
Morton Thiokol. Thiokol?
Is there anything to go with that, or he just said he did?
Yeah, that's what they decided. You know what? We got to place blame.
Spin the wheel, and that's where the arrow landed.
Morton Thiokol Inc. was a major aerospace chemical company that went from 1982 to 1989, known for manufacturing the solid rocket boosters for NASA's space shuttle. And they were famously associated with the Challenger disaster caused by O-ring steel failures on those solid rocket boosters. That company was later acquired by ATK and as of 2001 is now part of the Northrop Grumman. Okay.
That sounds like super fucking evil.
Yeah.
That being said, I must concede or Norton, whatever, is like, I thought it was like the name of some one random engineer that's like, he did it.
Yep. That was him. He's the fall guy.
Just a goat in a lab coat.
June 10th in South Africa, the 3-year-old state of emergency is renewed for another 12 months, followed by an organized campaign of civil disobedience against it. June 12th,
Apartheid. It's awesome.
June 12th, P.W. Botha declares South African national emergency. June 13th, in the city of Berlin, dedicates Leon Jesselplatz, a small town square, in memory of the composer killed at age 70 by the Gestapo in 1943.
Okay, but to be fair, he was taunting him, saying, "I can beat you in this triathlon. Just watch me. I'm only 70 years old."
Yeah. So, June 13th, United States President Ronald Reagan criticizes the South African state of emergency.
But I thought he liked apartheid. I'm confused.
The actor?
The actor?
I mean, according to the butler, that's why the butler quit.
Lee Daniels, the butler?
Yes, Lee Daniels, the butler.
Lee Daniels, the butler.
Which, by the way, I am also looking forward to Lee Cronin's The Mummy, not based on a motion picture from Stephen Sommers.
June 15th, Amnesty International Conspiracy of Hope Tour concludes with mega concert at Giant Stadium in Rutherford, New Jersey. Participants include U2, Sting, Bryan Adams, Peter Gabriel, Lou Reed, Neville Brothers, Joan Baez, Joan Arma Trading, Joni Mitchell, The Police, Jackson Brown, Yoko Ono, Miles Davis, Peter, Paul, and Mary, and the Hooters.
Well, they couldn't spring for any good ones, huh?
Mm-hmm. For a while there, like it looked like your name had to begin with a J for you if you're a female to perform, and then
Yeah, all the Jones were out.
Yoko said, "Well, it's a J pronounced like."
Yeah, she spells it. She spells it Joko, but it's pronounced.
Yeah, right.
It looks nicer
like,
in her
in
language.
Latin, J starts with an O. Or
Yeah, she
Y,
falls
or
through a fucking
Y.
wall.
It does work.
There you go.
Line?
There he goes. June 15th, Pravda announces high-level Chernobyl staff fired for stupidity.
Got to 2026, hired for stupidity.
Yes. Lastly, on June 15th at the U.S. Open men's golf, Shinnecock Hills GC, Raymond Floyd wins his fourth and final major, 2 strokes ahead of Chip Beck and Lanny Watkins.
Okay.
All right. Passing away this week, our deaths, writer Herbert Eisenreich, author and gay rights pioneer Merle Miller, engineer and artist Chelsea Bonestall, journalist Antoon Brain, the King of Swing band leader and clarinet player Benny Goodman passed away, golfer Jim Ferrier, Alan J. Lerner, a Tony and Oscar-winning lyricist, Jorge Luis Borges, an essayist and poet, Marlon Perkins, the TV host, and Kiki Terrapore, a cricket player. And born this day, actor Adam Ruggiero, Carrie Ng, pop singer and actress, Brighton Hartford, actress, Mary Kate and Ashley Olsen.
There it is.
Yeah. Begin the countdown to 18, right? That's what they said, right?
We could have just not said that and been fine, but here
That's
we
what
are, referencing
remember,
that of all.
Scott, you lived that. You lived that.
They were never on my
like,
list.
what's going to happen when they turn 18? Like, what?
I had higher standards than that.
Yeah. Like Kat Dennings, who was born this day as well.
Yep.
Oh, perfect. Excellent segue.
Mazel.
Yes.
And to bring it down a bunch of notches, actor Shia LaBeouf. Born this day.
No!
What a
I mean, if we did this episode
what a
last week, we would have been
foursome
higher
there.
on it.
Although, even Stevens, Tawny was a fucking smoke show. Her name is, I think it's Margot Hirschman? Yeah. Anyway.
Speaking of smoke shows, Scott, let's talk about Vanity and Never Too Young to Die. Playing in 75 theaters. He actually laughed at one. There we go. Nice.
The new American hero. Go! John Stamos is Stargrove. Stargrove. Vanity is Danja. Gene Simmons is Ragnar. Never Too Young to Die. Rated R.
Directed by Gil Bettman, who had directed episodes of The Fall Guy, Knight Rider, and Automan, as well as the Sammy Hagar music video for I Can't Drive 55. Written by Stephen Paul, the genius behind all the Baby Geniuses movies.
Even the masterpiece that's Baby Geniuses too?
Yeah.
Super Baby Geniuses?
Yeah. He did them all. And we're seeing the origins of him now. Also written by Anthony Fouts on a story by Stephen Paul, starring John Stamos.
Uncle Jesse himself on the same day as the Olsen twins' birth.
This is true. How did we do this? How did it happen? Later in the episode, Dave Coulier stops by for some wonderful...
Alanis Morissette writes her first single. I mean,
right. I'm sure we're gonna have Lori Loughlin some point this summer, right?
Bob Saget to direct something for a stand-up special.
Yeah, actually, Bob Saget was considered for a couple roles in this week's or in one of the movies this week.
That tracks.
So he does pop up. So it started, John Stamos, Vanity, Gene Simmons.
So it was between John Stamos and Bob Saget for this one?
No.
Okay.
That would have been great.
Vanity.
Yeah. Or the Gene Simmons role.
Right.
Either works for me.
Also starring George Lazenby, Peter Kwong, Robert Englund, and John Anderson. After a top secret agent is murdered, his estranged son, a high school gymnast, this is not Jim Cotta though, teams up with his dad's attractive female partner to stop the psychopathic hermaphroditic gang leader who killed him and now plans a major terrorist attack. That is from IMDb. This movie had 5 composers, including Clint Eastwood regular Lenny Niehaus, who also does another film this week. This is one of 2 from him. And it was shot by David Worth, who shot the movie Bloodsport. Van Damme liked him. He directed Kickboxer. Who knew? This is actually, funny enough, this is the second time on a podcast I've talked about Never Too Young to Die. I did it back in the Cult Cinema Cavalcade days. Funny enough. But let's hear what, Aaron, you have to think about Never Too Young to Die.
I gotta say, like, I was maybe the most excited to watch this movie this week based on it. I hadn't seen it before, and the premise seemed like, is this like some like hidden like splashy cult gem based on the wide variety of actors that I know in this film, along with the premise that you just described, because you definitely don't hear the word hermaphrodite too many times, especially when it comes to action films. So I really had my eyes open, being like, let's see what this is going to give me. Is it going to give me some kind of like crazy cult joy? And it really didn't. I wasn't necessarily let down, because it's not like people are always talking about Never Too Young to Die with aplomb or saying, man, before he went to Full House, Uncle Jesse was really hardcore in that one action movie where he played a gymnast son of James Bond. But I was still disappointed that I wasn't having more fun, even in a schlocky way, with this movie. I want to say it tries. Like, it's like they all showed up. I I do like Stamos. I wouldn't say this is like a call. Like I wouldn't say based on this performance, I hope he gets like a 7-year sitcom and a post-life career as a Greek movie god for people that like seeing him on TV and nowhere else. But I do, I do think he's like I don't know, serviceable here. There's one.
Beach Boys. Come on.
There's yeah, of course, his musical talents as well. There's this whole sequence that I was really into where like Vanity is basically teasing him, and it leads to a sex scene. But the sex scene in a movie where again there's a hermaphroditic gang leader as the main boss, the sex scene itself is so tame where it felt like watching Terry Gargo roll in the hay, roll in the hay. But no, I mean, there's not a lot here. The action's whatever. Stamos is just stock lead character. Seeing Lazenby in anything else was like, well, that's what Lazenby's like when he's not James Bond, I guess. Um, and Vanity, I mean, there's a reason Vanity doesn't have a lot of credits to her name either. I mean, like she's not unattractive, but like she's no Radon Chong when it comes to I don't know 90s black women in action movies or 80s black women in action movies. And so then you get to the Gene Simmons factor, which I'm sure Scott's been pondering for hours about this. So I'll let him have more of a say on that. But he gets the tongue out there, that's for sure. I was wondering if he'd do it, and he did. Watching Gene Simmons in this was like watching um, what's his face? Guy Fieri take off his makeup for that Super Bowl commercial. It was like, oh, okay, this is odd and distracting. So overall mixed. No, bad. Not a very good movie.
Gene Simmons also not a fan of this movie and embarrassed of himself with it.
Was it his choice to be both?
I don't know.
'Cause he certainly didn't try to be best.
He's certainly all in. So Scott.
Yeah, this is very much the movie isn't nearly as fun or wacky or moment to moment enjoyable as it sounds or reads if you pick it up from a random video store which used to exist and read the back of the box. Which weird is that when I was 6 years old and started to get into movies, marketing, whatever, the poster, this seemed to me like a very serious movie. Because I mean, again, crazy. Again, I'm 6 years old here, so when I think of a poster with very serious guy pointing a gun at the screen and a very relatively hot girl sort of holding on to him for dear life, I'm thinking of crap like 52 Pickup or Body Heat or a couple of Big Easy
or
whatever.
Sexy crime comedy.
Yeah, exactly. They were serious. I did not realize. And honestly, I had never seen this until this podcast, weirdly enough, that this is just what if James Bond Jr. was worse.
Basically.
Which is impressive.
Yeah, because you hate James Bond Jr.
I do not like James Bond Jr. And the first act, when they're setting everything up, is dumb, but it's serviceable.
Sure.
It's like, okay, I'm enjoying where this is going. This is ridiculous. Obviously, Gene Simmons is offensive in that way that's almost so cartoonish that I don't take offense.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's so clearly he's the person making the choice to do that. And, bad comparison because I think he's very good at it, but it's like people whining about Jason Momoa's character in Fast X. It's like, that's probably how he is in real life other than the murders. So, okay. But anyway, but once James Bond Jr. goes on the mission, it's boring. And yeah, Vanity, I guess, is conventionally attractive in that 80s pinup kind of way, but I frankly don't think she has a lot of charisma and or, forgive me, talent. That's obviously not why she was cast and whatever. But, she's basically just a body. And even in the 80s, you can find bombshells that can act. So I don't have to settle for less. The action is mediocre at best. And it's always interesting, at least to me, to watch these mid-80s action movies where it's like, okay, this is where we were right before, like, Lethal Weapon, RoboCop, and Rambo, Rambo, I guess. But then Die Hard sort of changed the game for modern-day, grounded, non-fantastical Hollywood action movies. forgive me, fantastical, non-fantastical, but not the Adventures of Robin Hood or even Indiana Jones to a certain extent. But as a movie, it's lousy and it's more boring as it goes along. The action finale is fine just because it's an action finale and
Generous.
people are fighting over tall ledges and people are taking glorious death plunges, and I'm always for glorious death plunges, you know that. But and I say this only half joking, but like even Gene Simmons is more interesting in theory, especially after a few introductory scenes, than he is in practice. And I'm reminded last week of how much energy John Hurt brought to the otherwise relentlessly mediocre Jake Speed. I'm not saying Jake Speed is better than this because they're both lousy for different reasons, I guess. And it's one of those films that like it's far more interesting in theory than it is in practice. And I can't even say, oh, go see it because it's an interesting cultural artifact of the time, because no, you've got Raw Deal, you've got Cobra, skip, a year beforehand, you've got like Rambo First Blood Part 2, there are lots of
various Bond movies.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but I mean, when you think of stereotypical 80s grindhouse schlock action, there is better shit than this shit, which is just shit. It's, cat puke that's wet and hot on the carpet, when there's plenty of hard, firm cat puke that's on the dry floor. That's, whatever. Why? What? It's terrible.
I really wish one of your critical words was behind you when you were saying all that.
What was that?
I really wish one of your critical words was behind you while you were saying all that about poop and shit and cat poop.
Yeah.
Do I have any critical words?
I stand corrected.
There we go. So
I'm too edgy and rebellious to win awards.
That's what it is.
I disagree on a couple things with this movie, although I agree it is bad.
Okay.
I enjoy Vanity. There's not a whole lot of
cards. House of Cards.
Not going there. No, I enjoy Vanity. There's a limited range of her to check out from the 80s or her whole career even, but she's got with Terror Train and Action Jackson and Last Dragon, I enjoy her quite a bit.
Last Dragon, sure.
That's fair.
I'd argue she's just not nearly as good in this movie as she is in those movies.
Easy on the eyes, so she passes that test. I think Gene Simmons is fun here. He's ridiculous, and he's got the energy to make you keep watching. And
does he act a lot? Like, I wasn't aware he acted in movies.
So he gave it a shot in the A's. There's a slasher movie called Trick or Treat.
Oh, the original Trick or the other Trick or Treat.
Yeah, he gives a performance better than the movie deserves, and it's damn near Wolfman Jack American Graffiti level. Like it's like holy shit, dude. What is it, Gene Simmons? Like, and it's the opposite of this.
Okay, that's good to know, because I was starting to wonder, like, who's the better one? Is it him? Is it Alice Cooper, the one I need to be looking for more in movies?
But I really like his
for the win.
Yeah. Trick or Treat's a decent little cheap B movie slasher, but he gives a really good, like, I like this character. I like what Gene Simmons is bringing here. I didn't know he had it in him. But yeah, did he trick you guys? Did you know the CIA guy with the beard was him? Did you? Did he fool you? Did you?
I suspect
Stargrove. Also, did you think George Lazenby was going to come back?
I was hoping not.
Not that kind, because this is the 80s, and they didn't need to like make the fans happy in that stupid way back then.
True. Just wondering. But no, this movie, I don't think Stamos' characters, nothing against him. I don't think his character's interesting. And it's like, okay.
Great hair.
Huh?
Great hair.
Great hair. Terrible with the guns. And I like you said too, once he gets on his mission, it sucks. But this is like not far off from being a TV movie level quality this time. And that kind of hurts it. And I don't go like, spies and bikers just don't work. If you want to like neuter a spy movie, throw bikers in there, because spy comes with some level of like class and intrigue and espionage, and like trashy bikers just always ruins whatever it has going for it, and that's what happens to this movie. It's like got Mad Max stuff. It looks like it's a different chapter of the Cobra people. It's their New Mexico chapter, but there's no real action scenes to write home about. The lead character blows. It's got a silly like Stargrove, like, and you're not a parody movie. Like Stargrove, like, and then the scene where Gene Simmons tries to trick John Stamos. He's like Stargrove, and John Stamos doesn't turn. He goes, I'm turning really slow for the audio listeners. Should I know that name? How do you know that's a fucking name? It's Stargrove. Who has the name Stargrove?
I mean, what else would it be?
Stargrove killed my
toaster?
father.
A new NES game?
I know.
Come on. Like, but he like John Stamos like takes like forever to turn around, but like, you know how I'm gonna show him I'm clever? How do I know? How am I supposed to know that? And it's like, nope. There is the interesting biker bar scene with Gene Simmons doing his dance. That's something.
Yep.
And I believe when I my Cult Cinema Cavalcade days, I screen capped this woman, like there's this crazy, like out of place mom in her 40s with a Mickey Mouse shirt in the back, like, hey, what's going on, guy? And just wow. But yeah, it's no fun. Like I don't think I cared for it much in the Cult Cinema Cavalcade days, and now I had to watch it a second time, and it certainly wasn't. I going back to it, it's because it's been a long time. But I was like, oh yeah, this Gene Simmons stuff's fun, but this is not it.
The movie was 6 years later, and different world, different blah blah blah. But obviously, the surface similarities to If Looks Could Kill, which is one of the great fake James Bond films of all time, this side of Austin Powers, certainly doesn't help.
Scott says, "Fuck in like Flint."
I do. I feel like because you like Gene Simmons more than we do, like that's giving you more of the edge here. Where I feel like if I did like that more, I probably would have been
the edge to still say it's a bad movie.
Look, if you want to not admit that you gave this movie 4 stars on Letterboxd, that's fine. But I mean, I'm just saying, like,
out of 10.
I feel like that does feel like a make or break aspect as to me being like, this movie sucks versus me being like, eh.
Well, it was like, again, last week with Jake Speed, where like 55 minutes in, I'm like, oh shit, I'm enjoying this now.
I mean, yeah, basically, it's like, this is bad, but at least that worked. Like, that was kind of what I was hoping for of Gene Simmons. They're like, well, this sucks, but like, at least this thing's working for me. He's like, well, none of this worked for me.
Like, the only thing that the people making this knew about with James Bond is that George Lazenby played James Bond at some point. We should cast him. Or maybe that was an accident. Like, oh, you played him? Oh, no shit. When? You know, like, it just, I don't know. I don't know. I can't tell you. So.
Yeah, it kind of sucks.
Yeah, it does
Very
suck.
sad.
So we're going to take a moment to ourselves and have an ad break here for you all.
There we go. Fucking shit, it's Kimba.
Ghostbusters.
What's happening?
I was in The Lion King. You start singing Be Prepared.
Boys.
The Dark Tower.
When information
Is the X-Men?
in the hands of just a few, you're at their mercy.
Roger Corman
You're played
presents
by
The
their
Fantastic Four.
Is it a coffee commercial?
But at AT&T,
Oh.
one thing
AT&T.
in control, not machines. So we're working to combine computers and
Oh,
communication
you got beat
Okay.
up by Dora.
to make everything about information
Look at that.
easy.
Touch
So you
screen.
can get the
Oh.
right information
Still
to
green.
the right people.
Answers defeated it.
Ain't that some shit?
With his head turned, I was like, is that OJ?
Anywhere
Yes. Oh, man. They do it all.
Oh, wait, if you looked at that commercial backwards, I think it's Skynet.
Yeah, it does. Like, yeah, it started out all dark and what the hell, and then it's just like, hey, look, products, high tech stuff. It's a boy.
It's one of those commercials that for 2/3 of the run, you're like, What the fuck are they actually advertising here?
I usually think Skittles when that happens.
Yeah, yeah.
Right on. All right. Uh,
That was time well spent.
let's let's skittle daddle to our next movie, The Manhattan Project, playing in 827 theaters.
Jon Lithgow, Jill Eikenberry, in a nuclear nightmare.
Paul, did you build an atomic bomb?
When the genius of one man
The purest plutonium in the universe. Pretty, isn't it?
sparks a boy into action.
He's talking about the first privately built nuclear device in the history of the world.
Now they're out to stop him.
Got plutonium in that! Don't hit the box! Oh,
He's out of time.
It's gonna blow.
no!
The Manhattan Project.
Directed by Marshall Brickman, who wrote Sleeper, Annie Hall, Manhattan, and Manhattan Murder Mystery with Woody Allen. And he directed 3 films of his own and 1 TV movie. He also wrote this with Thomas Baum, the guy who wrote Carney, The Sender, which is a gnarly little mean horror movie from the 70s, and 6 episodes of The Hitchhiker TV show. And it stars Jon Lithgow, Robert Sean Leonard, Cynthia Nixon, Jill Eikenberry, John Mahoney, and Richard Jenkins. A high school prodigy builds an atomic bomb with stolen plutonium to win the 45th National Science Fair and expose a nuclear weapons lab posing as a nuclear medical facility, research facility in Ithaca, New York. This was also known as The Manhattan Project, The Deadly Game when it went to pay-per-view. This is composed by Philip Sharday. He has 221 composing credits that include The Tenant and Tess for Roman Polanski. And cinematographer was Billy Williams, who shot Billion Dollar Brain, On Golden Pond, Saturn III, and the Iraq sequences in The Exorcist. So, Scott, tell us about the Manhattan Project.
Well, first of all, I mean, you can either win the science fair or expose the nearby nuclear testing and creation facility. I mean, you probably can't do both.
No, because Reed Richards couldn't pull it off in that Fantastic Four movie either.
Oh, yeah.
No, I had seen this period, a few times here and there over the years, and I like it. I think Jon Lithgow is very, very good in it, to the point where I think he elevates the entire film into seeming like something that's a bit more level-headed and, I don't want to say mature, but yeah, thoughtful and mature. It's like, this is a good, grounded, character-focused, kids get into mischief kind of movie. Again, when you're thinking of like E.T., Free Willy, etc., the Goonies, etc. Looking back on it now, I mean, yeah, the kid, it's one of those weird situations where, like, reasonably, like, at some point the kid becomes unreasonable. And I think the ticking clock finale, while exciting in the moment, doesn't help the movie in terms of offering a both sides, blah, blah, blah mentality. Because at the end of the day, even if I agree with what the kid was trying to expose, or gee, he was naive because he's young, blah, 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 he does almost kill hundreds of thousands of people. And, there's not even sort of a weird thing where it's like, oh, it wasn't because of what he did, it's because of something else that transpired. No. It's the thing that he made was going to eventually go boom, and everyone was going to die. That being said, it's another situation where it's like, he's naive, but if more people were as naive as he was, would the world be a better place? Maybe, probably. It's when people get quote unquote cringe about, social justice issues or the environment or whatever. It's like, to paraphrase that line from the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, they're cringe, but they're right. I think the first act of this film is actually very, very good, when it's just this kid sort of acting out in a healthy, rebellious way in science class, and befriending, however reluctantly, because it's no secret the guy wants to sleep with his mother, Jon Lithgow's character, and the two of them have a very healthy adversarial relationship that I quite enjoyed. And again, Lithgow is just so good in this movie. and I'm not going to say he's against type because
He's been going
he
back and
didn't
forth.
just play villains. What was that?
He's been going back and forth on all
Yeah.
of
Yeah,
it.
exactly. He doesn't just play villains.
He's an Oscar
But-
nominee for Garp.
Garp, yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
But even so, it's kind of, this is by default one of the more just straight up normal characters he tends to play of late. It's funny. I know I've told the story before because we've talked about Jon Lithgow movies before. But my dad went to high school with him, and he says that he basically was that weird when he was a kid. So basically, Raising Cain was just playing himself. My words, not his. But I am torn because on one hand, I want to say, this is a ridiculous, irresponsible, blah, 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 blah. But in the moment, I like it. I like the kid. I like the relationship that he has with Cynthia Nixon. I always enjoy these movies where they like each other right away. So there's not this puppy dog pining and would-be cringy flirtation attempts before they finally get together at the end. They like each other from the word go, so we just get to watch them flirt and be fun together. It's like the one thing that I think Amazing Spider-Man does better than Sam Raimi's Spider-Man by default. But the kid does almost kill the world through entirely his own fault. So, but with a certain it was the 80s. We were trying to make these cautionary tales about the perils of the nuclear age. This is 3 years after War Games. I really enjoy it as one of these kind of movies where most of the adult characters are written as intelligent, thoughtful, nuanced adult characters. The kids are a little silly, maybe, especially like his sidekicks in the science class, but it's not a deal breaker. And I still think it's a solid 3-star picture that I think goes a little over the top in terms of doom and gloom right at the end.
Gotcha. Aaron.
Oh, Scott's underselling how good this movie is. I mean, he wants to argue against there being a movie, essentially, and just having it be this boring thing that happened one day.
Well, that's my struggle, because it's...
Well, that's great, but I think the movie works because it adds these extra stakes that work for a cinematic experience that delivers on a movie called The Manhattan Project. I mean, Ebert gave this 4 stars, and I can see why. I think it's an excellent film as far as, yes, everything you said as far as the performances go, treating the characters with respect, making it seem like a film that's worthy of pulling it as far as it, or pushing it as far as it goes, because it wants to treat this stuff seriously as, yes, cautionary tales. And if that means going to certain extremes, well, like you mentioned, War Games came out 3 years prior. Yeah, I'm not against seeing things go that far in the name of entertainment, even if it means, I don't know, having ramifications that aren't exactly pulled off in some grounded, realistic way where I watch a kid get thrown behind bars or whatever. Instead, I'd rather watch what's essentially a kid's adventure movie that is grounded enough to present something that presents real world stakes and makes me care about what's going to be the turnout and how those things are resolved. In this case, it's because the grounded, level-headed adults you described realize we can't just punish this child. We need to work together and figure out an actual solve here and not just do something that's even more crazy or ridiculous or something for a movie that would be fitting for what we just talked about before this. Instead, it's no, there's smart approaches to what's going on here. And if it has to go a little bit heightened to accomplish something worthy of a cinematic experience, I'm not against that. I do think the movie excels because of this cast for sure. Jon Lithgow is someone I always like in movies, regardless of what side of the the hero spectrum or villain spectrum he appears to be on. I think he's completely solid here. The kid, was it Chris Collette? Is that his name? Does the job. I forgot. I haven't seen this in a while, but I've seen it a few times in the past. And when I was very young, I certainly got confused a lot because it was called the Manhattan Project. I'm like, but it's set in the 80s. This doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know what's going on here. But watching this, and but no, watching it now and knowing even more of this cast, including what's her name from Sex and the City,
Cynthia
Nixon.
It's oh yeah, okay, it's fun to see these names and this kind of before they were famous kind of role and whatnot, along with having the veteran actors here that are doing what they need to do. Even from a production standpoint, I liked how this film was presented. It feels like a world that exists while still having a sense of wonder. I mean, last week we talked about Space Camp, which I adored more than I really expected to. And part of that came from them being able to capture a sense of wonder in stuff that exists, NASA, space, things that are, plausible to get into, regardless of the kind of heightened situations that are presented to the characters. Here, it's like factories, laboratories, a school, but like we're watching it in a way where I want to know what's going to happen in these places. I appreciate these characters enough where I want to follow along with them. It's not shot in a way that's particularly stylish or doing anything that's like above and beyond what's necessary to make this. Even like War Games has more style to it because it was a John Badham. Like he's doing something with the kind of the nature of the machines and whatnot. This is pretty, not going to say sitcom level, but it's not like overly flashy. And yet I was compelled by just watching this movie and seeing how it unfolds. So no, I think, I there's there's a lot of and we're going to talk about stuff. There's a lot of like, more family friendly or kid oriented films. And this is like a kind of this is PG, but it's like,
Oh yeah, it's a PG.
PG-13 is not a PG-13 is not like a huge thing right now. So it's like it's geared towards an everybody kind of thing with maybe an emphasis a little bit more towards a younger audience than like only adults. But like I'd take 10 of these over a lot of the crap that kids are getting fed otherwise.
Oh, yeah.
Like it's just something
Yeah.
wants to say something and it's doing it effectively while working for pretty much anybody that wants to turn this on. So I was a big fan of this one.
I mean,
I guess for me, and then I'll shut up because I know it's your turn, but I agree with you. I've always really liked this film, and I was sort of wrestling with why I wasn't as into it this time. And I think part of it is just at some point I start rooting against the kid, which seems wrong to me. But wrong to me as a viewer, not that the movie's doing it wrong. But no, I've always very much enjoyed this. And yes, it was Ebert's review back when I was like 6, 7, 8 years old that made me check it out in the first place. Anyway.
Yeah, I was I like this movie. I don't love it, but it's a solid one. And I mean, it's that type of movie that if you're younger or of the age, it feels like this serious, more adult movie. It can convince a younger person, oh, this is like what it is or whatever. Plays it with a respect to the youth, I guess, that works really well for it. And John Lithgow's terrific. He's one of him and Cynthia Nixon were my favorite parts about this movie. And there's a whole lot of these movies where they try to like, I don't know, like is it like teen thriller or something like that? Would this be put under that kind of degree where like a teen gets enwrapped in some sort of adult circumstances, like later movies that aren't good at like Antitrust down the road in the early 2000s, stuff like that.
Because they have to be like contemporary topics, but involve a younger audience.
Yeah,
right?
Yes.
And there's movies that'll do this, and then there's like there's a movie when I was growing up that it never even made it to DVD. Scott, do you remember this one? It's called The Rescue from 1988. Vaguely. Where a bunch of kids, their parents get captured in North Korea, and the army's not doing anything about it. So, God damn it, those kids are going to go rescue their parents in North Korea. And guess what? Mission accomplished. But there's that.
Was it the Wolverines?
Yeah,
Did
no.
they get back together?
Yeah, yeah. Could have been, but yeah, it had Kevin Dillon in it, and the guy from Trick or Treat, which we were just talking about.
Gene Simmons went with Kevin Dillon across the corner.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, there's those movies where it's just like, this is ridiculous. This falls in the realm of, okay, we're making this feel possible, even though it's probably not, but we're making it in some realm of plausibility, which makes you sort of like buy into the fantasy of this movie and take it seriously. And right along with the characters, which are all good, solid characters. I liked John Mahoney showing up there.
Mm-hmm.
Late in that was fun. But yeah, this is a fun little movie. Definitely I don't think I'd seen it. I might have seen it. I don't know. It felt. I knew the title. I knew all that, but I was like watching it. I'm like, I don't think I've seen this before. I'm not sure. I can't tell you for certain, but nothing was feeling familiar. So
it was like a TBS movie for a little bit there.
Yeah.
It
was on HBO periodically. It had that cycle.
Because there was the screwing this up with, there's the Manhattan Project, and then there's the Philadelphia Experiment. That's one too. Yeah. So getting those mixed up.
And
can be
Real Genius is kind of in the same sandbox, if I recall.
I mean, I can see lumping that in there, but that's different. The Philadelphia Experiment.
Well, I was just talking title-wise, getting getting two titles confused. Manhattan Project, Philadelphia Experiment.
Yeah.
Kind of go along with that. But, I do dig the Manhattan Project. Quite good. And, yeah, definitely good pairing with Space Camp. Double feature.
Yeah.
That would work. So let's move on to our TV ratings for this week.
Saturday on Give Me a Break, an important job interview as Nell shaken in her shoes.
I'm so scared.
Then on the Facts of Life, when Blair gets bitten by the gambling bug, will she cash in or choke up?
That's my money.
And on the Golden Girls, Blanche receives a marriage proposal. Will she accept?
It's a crazy idea.
You got that right.
Then on 227, it's Mary's folks' 50th. But when Sandra steps in, will it be Dad's last tango?
Olé! Saturday.
Guys, who wants to say it? That's at number 1 this week.
Oh boy, which one is it? Is it the same movie as the last TV show?
Ooh. Yep, it's Cosby again.
With Rudy?
Yeah.
That's okay, because audiences didn't know about Cosby what we know now, because Ghost Dad wouldn't come out for another 4 years.
Ghost Dad with a character who was a man named Esther.
Oh, so yeah, a repeat of the Cosby Show, a repeat of Family Ties, a repeat of Cheers are in the top 3. A new episode of All Is Forgiven on NBC. Golden Girls repeat, number 5 on NBC. NBC just kicking ass. People thought it was the 90s, but no, they were kicking ass here too. Growing Pains repeat on ABC. Repeat of Hardcastle and McCormick on ABC. 227 repeat on ABC. If you're wondering
227?
what the fuck's 227, yeah, you know what that is?
Yes.
It's a sitcom with
The
Helen
Temperature,
Martin,
which freedom burns.
Yes. Helen Martin, Marla Gibbs, Elena Reed Hall, Regina King, Paul Winfield.
Yeah, that's where Regina King came from. She was in 227.
Yes.
Yeah.
227. And then we have a Who's the Boss repeat and a Murder, She Wrote repeat on CBS. The movies this week that were shown on television, ABC was the only one showing theatrical releases. Monday, they showed Prince of the City Part 2. Saturday, Grease. And Sunday, The Apple Dumpling Gang.
Oh, we could have tried to guess Grease. That would have been fun.
And then the TV movies this week on NBC on Monday.
Tuesday night ABC movie, The Apple Dumpling Gang.
Don Knotts is back.
Oh,
man.
Tonight on the 8th Sunday night movie.
It's me.
I mean, this is going to sound super silly, but
he once saw the mystery of the ghost and Mr. Chicken.
It was like weirdly exciting to see movies that you knew and loved when they were making their network TV debut. Because they get these hyperific commercials, for like Batman, for obviously, before you witness his return, see the movie that started it all. Wow.
Yeah, no, I dug the TV movie thing back in the day, or like James Bond is back this week. Yeah.
Before Quantumania, he was just a thief that worked at Baskin Robbins. And then they found out. They always find out.
Before he went to the future, he went back to 1955. See, Marty McFly, go back. Yeah, and they had the different voices for the different types of the That's one thing. Like we talk about, like people bitch
Marty McFly and Biff having a little bit of a chin waggle here.
They talk about like trailers and stuff, but like we don't even have narration no more. Like that, the voiceover is gone. And will they ever make a comeback?
I've heard people say, and I don't know how true this is. This might just be people pissing in the dark, and I say that with not as a criticism, which is that one of the reasons that audiences aren't as into trailers, whether they watch them by choice or in a theater, is because you don't have the breathless exposition kind of sort of explaining whatever the studio wants you to know about what the movie's actually about.
Oh, I absolutely give that credence. Okay. I entirely believe that they're not. it's the same as sitcoms with laugh tracks. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a proven thing that works. If you're being guided along with something, he lost his parents. He has had to strike back. Like, I mean, it's you're like just subconsciously compelled to want to like know more about what's going on here, and like it's telling you more of what's
Well, a
going
lot
on.
of people complain of trailers. I don't know what that's about. Don't know what it's about. But like, yeah, I know I do. The trailer made
Courage
it so
now.
we had our
Truth
different types of
always.
voices. We had our
Family
different.
above all else. Fast forever. Coming next summer.
They could bring it back. Let's do it fast. Let's do it.
I
Come on,
always
Diesel.
lived my life a quarter mile at a time. Dom always lived his life a quarter mile at a time. And then they threatened my family. And then they threatened his family. And now I got to get my family back. And he has to get his family back.
I'd take it.
Who survived the plane crash at the end of Fast X? If you don't buy a ticket, you'll never know.
All right. So yeah, the TV movies this week on NBC Monday. Feral for the People from 1982, starring Valerie Harper, Ed O'Neill, Gregory Sierra, and Judith Chapman. On CBS Sunday, they showed Life of the Party, the story of Beatrice from 1982, starring Carol Burnett, Lloyd Bridges, Marion Mercer, Jeffrey Lewis, Conchata Ferrell, and Gail Strickland.
I'm glad they finally told Beatrice's story.
Yeah. It's actually a true story.
I'm sure it was.
Based on the woman, I think she created Alcoholics Anonymous or something like that. Something to do with
Isn't that Bill W?
No, it's something to do with I'm gonna have to figure this out because it was something about.
She had an idea for rocket fuel and formed a company.
Yeah.
If I knew the name of the company you mentioned 40 minutes ago, that would have been a great joke.
It was the life of the founder, of Los Angeles' first alcoholic recovery center for women, Beatrice O'Reilly.
That is specific as fuck.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's not a criticism, but Jesus. It's like,
I mean, we had a movie about the guy that invented the windshield wipers that interchangeably turned. So, I mean, I think we're good.
They did, but I don't remember anything about what
was it called? Was it with Greg Kinnear? And it's like,
oh yeah,
something genius or genius. I don't know.
From the director of Wallenberg, A Hero's Story, and Lipstick. So he also directed for fairy tale theater, like Tim Burton.
The windshield, that might be the most specific biopic about a thing. I can't think of anything more specific than that, but I could be mistaken.
Yeah, it's about her life.
Well, Hudsucker Proxy.
Even that. I mean, you say hula hoop, everybody knows what it is.
Yeah, you're not
wrong.
Yeah,
windshield wiper, you still have to go like a level down before. Oh, the ones that like interchange. Okay, gotcha.
It's not even the windshield wiper. It's the idea of them alternating their speeds.
I mean, even the Jennifer Lawrence movie. I mean, did
Joy? Oh God,
yeah. Did she invent the mop, or was it a kind of mop? I don't remember.
Well, from Jennifer Lawrence to Jennifer Grey, we're going to Ferris Bueller's Day Off, playing in 1,330 theaters.
Paramount Pictures presents a new film by John Hughes, starring Matthew Broderick.
Yeah, that's me.
Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
He gives good kids bad ideas.
He's such a sweetie.
The story of one man's struggle to take it easy.
He's a righteous dude.
Rated PG-13.
Now playing at a theater near you. Check your newspaper for showtime.
Directed by John Hughes, written by John Hughes, starring Matthew Broderick, Mia Sara, Alan Ruck, Jeffrey Jones, Jennifer Grey, Edie McClurg, Cindy Pickett.
I've seen him in a movie in years. I wonder what he's been up to.
Lyman Ward, Ben Stein, Charlie Sheen, Christy Swanson, and Louis Anderson. A brash, cocky high school.
Would have come back for Beetlejuice too. That was just easy money.
It's that Hoosier Caddy money that's still holding him back.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Right. Oh, a brash, cocky high school senior, tired of skipping school to spend a boring day at home, is determined to enjoy an epic day roaring around his favorite Chicago sights, enlisting his best friend and girlfriend to join him on the adventure. Composed by Ira Newborn, did Police Squad, did Hughes movies 16 Candles and Weird Science, also did Dragnet, Amazon, Women on the Moon, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, Caddyshack 2, Naked Gun 1, 2, and 3. So he's all over those police squatting. Uncle Buck, My Blue Heaven, Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, Jerky Boys, Mallrats, High School High, and Basketball. The cinematographer is Tak Fujimoto. He was second unit on Star Wars, the original. Shot Badlands, Death Race 2000, Last Embrace, Pretty in Pink, Married to the Mob, Silence of the Lambs, Singles, Philadelphia, Devil in a Blue Dress. Commentary on Out Now with Aaron and Abe for that if you want to listen. Sixth Sense, That Thing You Do, Signs, Manchurian Candidate remake. So he's back for this summer. And Scott wanted me to mention The Happening. So
Tak
Fukumoto. Yeah.
In the role of Ferris Bueller, do you know who else other than Matthew Broderick was considered?
Tom Berenger.
Oh, yes. Okay. Good job, Scott.
Michael J. Fox, I'm sure.
Yes.
Bob Saget. Apparently.
No.
John Stamos.
I believe
Nick Nolte.
Nope. So, there's one that's like, oh yeah, this is I can see this.
That's no fun.
Easily.
Matthew Modine, yada yada yada.
No.
Matt Dillon. Do we already do Matt Dillon?
Is another Brat Packer or someone else that I'm not thinking of?
Rob Lowe.
There's another. Yes, Rob Lowe was one of them.
Yeah.
So you got Michael J. Fox, Rob Lowe.
I mean, did Charlie Sheen read for Ferris and just end up as,
Nope.
Okay.
He got brought on by Jennifer
That's
Grey.
just like shooting out. I'm like trying to like actually think about this. Like,
yeah, Jennifer Grey brought Charlie Sheen onto this after working with
That's
him.
fair.
They needed somebody, and she thought of him, and he was
not
on his
Swayze,
day off.
Right? He's too old.
No, not Swayze.
Yeah.
There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 names you haven't.
Oh, you want me to like really get okay?
Oh no, I could.
No,
But
wait a minute. Hold on a second.
All right.
Harrison Ford.
Yes.
I mean, it makes
Sylvester
it hard to
Stallone.
think. Like when he does this, like
Yeah. I'm having fun here.
I know Aaron likes
Eddie
guessing
Murphy.
games.
not Cage.
Nope.
Who's like young? Who's doing this stuff? Machio?
Nope.
Yeah.
Depp?
Yes.
There we go.
One of them.
That makes sense.
There we go.
Depp. Sean Penn?
No.
um,
An R-rated movie.
I know he wanted Anthony Michael Hall for Cameron.
Yep.
Let's see.
Okay.
You can keep going at this
All
point.
right. So Jim Carrey.
There it is. Okay.
Whoa. Was he James Carrey back
He was
then?
James Carrey.
He was James Carrey. Robert Downey Jr.
Downey. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Tom Cruise.
Cruise.
And the one that's just like, oh yeah, I don't even have to imagine hard for this movie. John Cusack.
There it is.
Oh,
because we were talking because we at the time of this recording we recently recorded our Breakfast Club commentary also on Out Now, and there's all of those names are all jostling around at this point.
Yeah. So that's why I asked because I was like, Aaron's gonna have these fresh on his mind. These names.
I was trying to.
I wouldn't have if we wouldn't have recorded that commentary. I would not have asked that and just said.
No,
that.
I hear you. Yeah,
but yeah,
half of these feel like glitch in the Matrix moments. I have to say.
Sliding doors.
I see a John Cusack. Ferris Bueller's Day Off and the world not changing at all and being the same.
Yeah.
Like it is. Like...
The thing about Cusack though, he could play Ferris or Cameron. He could do both.
Oh yeah,
and he'd be very effective in both roles.
That's crazy. Yeah, he could. Yeah,
I don't think maybe Carrie because Carrie's at that point is actually he does like he has a thing about him where if he's not playing the stretchy guy, he could do drama like young like teen angst drama. I can see that working for him.
I know Downey Jr. has it in him, but at this time, is that him? You know, that's
no,
like,
it's not. Like, we're not going to talk about Back to School. And it's not him.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, we know him now. You could be like, oh yeah, young Downey could. Like, no, if you're watching young Downey, that's not him.
Because even like Less Than Zero, he's a terrible character, but like he's still like animated. Like he's not. He needs to be. He's not catatonic. Like that's different.
Right. So yeah,
and it was something like what was it, The Believer with James Woods, where he's like just gleefully idealistic.
Uh-huh.
Anyway.
So Aaron, Ferris.
I've always liked Ferris quite a bit. I think it does a lot of things right. There's a couple strikes I've had against it, certainly as I've grown older, just because they just feel like really weird choices that I'll get to in a second. But otherwise, I've I saw this movie when I was young. It's a movie that came on TV a lot. It took a while before I actually saw like the PG-13 version because there's like some naughty language in this movie, and like it's not like it makes a dramatic difference, but just hearing like the full movie, it's like I'm not gonna say it has edge, but it's certainly like it leans into some stuff where like this is like, especially because it's a balance of when there's swearing for like comedic purpose, but there's also like when Cameron's getting really upset or whatnot, and the way he's yelling at there's just stuff there. Like it has for a movie that I think is more heightened for John Hughes as far as his style is concerned, as far as what he's doing with this character and putting him into this, I don't want to say fantasy world, it does take itself seriously enough, which I think is what the magic trick of this movie is. I think it's a generational classic because it's not just about the fact that Ferris is getting away with all this stuff. He has two other characters with him, one of them who is very likely suicidal as much as it's a comedy and trying to be light about it. It is like skirting on the edge of being like this guy has problems and like it's up to Ferris to be his. I know like there's deleted subplots involving Charlie Sheen's character that explain more about Ferris's relationship with Cameron and what have you that I think is quite fascinating, and I'd be interested to see that version. But regardless, no, this movie, for one thing, it's a ton of fun. That should be the main emphasis. It's a lot of fun to watch this movie. Every time I watch it, I wonder, is this gonna like fade for me as far as the kinds of things? Am I ever gonna dislike Ferris? And honestly, I don't. I genuinely enjoy being around him. I like that because is there a smugness and a cockiness to him? Perhaps, but the things he's doing aren't really like harmful. Like he's not a bad person whatsoever. If anything, he cares too much about a lot of people. It's just an an idea that he like that going against authority just makes sense to him, which is just being a teenager. Like that doesn't bother me. It's not like he's going into town and committing crimes or anything. He's just like I want to have a nice day. Like and honestly, if that was today, you just call that a mental health day. It wouldn't even be a problem. It'd be encouraged
Right,
to like take a day off. It'd be good for him.
Ferris Bueller's self-care.
I mean that's pretty much it. And in the process, he works on his friend who definitely needs self-care. So there's something there that makes this anything more positive than I might have thought it would be before, just based on the context of what today's version of doing something like this would be. It's funny to I always point this out. It's funny to me that Matthew Broderick is never cooler ever again after this movie. It literally stops here. And I have everything to think that it has to do with the fact that there was a very unfortunate accident involving him, Jennifer Grey, in a car accident that basically stopped him in his tracks as far as wanting to be the cool guy. It has made him be serious for the rest of his life, or at least nebbish, because he just becomes Cameron for like the rest of his life as far as his attitude goes. Not just Broderick. The cast of this is fantastic. I think Jennifer Grey is great in this movie. She's the things she has to do here, I think, are I don't think she gets enough credit as far as just like because she's not just like angry sister. Like there's a lot of comedic energy coming off of the way she delivers her lines, the way she performs a character, whatnot. We don't need to talk about Jeffrey Jones so much, but he's not funny here. Like he's very good in this movie as a foil. Him and Edie McClurg have some really funny
warm up
scenes
for
together.
Howard.
Edie McClurg, who is like a John Hughes staple. Like, I mean, she has a bit where she just like coughs into the phone to like cover for Rooney, and it's like the funniest thing to me. Or just like, which must like I believe is like an improv moment. It's so like there's so much good comic energy in this. Like, do I like planes, trains, and automobiles more? Yes, just because like you have like two of the funniest people on earth working together in that movie, and there's so many things. But like this is not far behind. I think I'm not the biggest Hughes guy, so like the fact that I like this movie as much as I do always surprises me because I do think this movie just operates on all the right levels. I think it's well directed. I love the music choices here. The style of this movie is I think it works well. Like we talk about this in the Breakfast Club commentary, but like she's having a baby like really goes like overboard as far as how many stylish tricks he tries to pull off while making a serious film about growing up and being and it's like I don't know why when he nails this, he nails planes, trains, like he's doing something where he's just like he's on the right track here, and it just really works for me. The minor caveats I have that just like throw me off are there's that big parade sequence, which otherwise is really fun, but it's so weird to just watch this movie over and over again and think, why is he siloing off the black people to have their own dance corner? It just does not make sense to me in any way. Like if it one thing if it was like a mixed group and it's like
That
all the
is
black
an
people.
amazing deleted scene, let me tell you.
It's just such a weird, but where I'm like, every time as I got older and older watching this movie, I'm like, this stands out like such a sore thumb to me. Like I can understand an argument being made for it's like I wanted to give them their space so they can show up, like, but it's like that's dumb. Like it just doesn't register me as like something that makes a lot of sense. So it's like this weird button of like there's nothing but joy happening on screen right now, and then meanwhile there's like this weird like section of Chicago that's like blacks only, and I'm like, why? It's so weird. Otherwise, outside of this, I and I don't need to hear the comments of non-black people saying, but I don't care. It just bothers me. That's how it is. Otherwise, I think this movie is rock solid. From start to finish. I think it's super fun. I mean, I don't know if kids of today watch Ferris Bueller or even know who Ferris Bueller is, but I feel like it has a certain, even though it's rooted in the 80s as far as its style is concerned, I think that the as I was saying, kind of the mental space these characters occupy feels like a pretty generational thing that we can be responded to. So I'd like to think that it still like plays for, a younger audience as well. But overall, no, I've always been a big fan of Ferris Bueller.
All right, Scott.
Yeah. And I had not watched this in a long time, despite having watched it many, 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 many times when I was a wee one. I did see this, I think, in theaters. So I was, it's one of the, first dozen movies I saw in theaters, give or take. And this and City Slickers, for reasons I'll explain in a second, always stood out as very formative films and definitive examples of why I think it's important for children to see mass market entertainment, movie shows, whatever, that aren't necessarily aimed exactly at their age. Were those films aimed at 6-year-old me and 11-year-old me? No. But there were so many concepts about life that I was basically introduced to in a, forgive the expression, safe space in those movies in a thoughtful, intelligent, mature way, that it was valuable as just a life education. It just in terms of, Cameron having issues with his father that loves his material possessions more than his kids, or obviously all the midlife crisis stuff with City Slickers. That was the first time I had been exposed to characters where you had, a cheating spouse that had, knocked somebody else up out of marriage. And again, I wasn't shocked and appalled by these things. Oh no, my innocent whatever. It's like, oh, okay, that's something that happens. And obviously, if you grow up watching The Simpsons, there's a lot of that too. And if nothing else, again, that show, whether you watch the first 10 seasons or you watch all 30 years, it's a great cultural education, pop culture and otherwise. But just as a movie, it's terrific. It's incredibly well-paced to the point where you almost don't notice it. Like the day off portion of Ferris Bueller's Day Off is only the second act, give or take, because the first act is when Sloane and the two of them speed off in the car. And then around the hour mark, hour 5, they're home already, and they're trying to wean the miles off the car. And so as far as Ferris sort of being a retroactive representation of, sort of self-centered, narcissistic, entitled white kids with a lot of money, blah, blah, blah. Yes, but as you mentioned, most of what he's doing is A, not malicious, B, is not doing any real harm, and C, is very clearly laid out as he is doing this for his friend that really, really needs it. And, just in terms of good screenwriting, you can get away with a lot if you realize that this potentially obnoxious character is doing the stuff for the betterment of someone else who really needs it. And, you think that would be a simple concept, but, and what I like about, one of the other things I like about the picture is there really are no villains. Yes, the Jeffrey Jones character is an antagonist, and he crosses the line XYZ, but he's right. This asshole is skipping school and trying to game the system. And yet his comeuppance, because he does cross a line, is still fun, and we can enjoy it. And it's a great climax for Jennifer Grey's character.
It is,
who,
yeah.
Yeah, who again, even though she is sort of trying to prevent the thing that we want to happen, we always completely understand how she feels. And even she gets kind of sort of a reward in the sense of a very quick hookup with Charlie Sheen's character.
Real quick, there's when I was, before I was like, when I was young enough where like girls didn't matter to me, there was something that I always felt like this is like budding feelings. Not a matter of like, oh, I had a crush on Jennifer Grey. Like, yeah, she's an attractive woman. But like the bit where she's going away from Charlie Sheen and she's just so
Yes.
giggly because she's tripping over herself or whatnot. I always found that so adorable. Like, just like as anyone I think would, and why that's probably like John Hughes left it in. It doesn't even seem like it's something that's scripted. I don't know how do you script that. It's just there's something there that just and it makes you. It's so perfect as how you connect to this character. Who again, other in a lesser film, she would just be a nag, right? You wouldn't care. You just used to be like the bitchy sister. She's not the bitchy sister though. She's someone that completely has reasons to be upset about her brother getting all this attention or whatnot, while she's like suffering through this nonsense day she's having, but. She's also she's a cute girl that's like having a nice time overall after like nonsense happened to her to put her in the police station. So sorry, just wanted to throw that in there because
No, you're absolutely right.
To her character.
And as far as Ferris' character goes, I mean, even the idea that like a lesser film would have made him something of a ladies' man.
Yeah.
And while yes, Mia Sara was absolutely unquestionably my first celebrity crush when I was 6 years old. That being said, then and now, it is endearing how devoted he is singularly to her. And that she's not just a status symbol, if that makes sense. Like, we know Ferris is cool because he's got this super hot girlfriend. He is clearly head over heels with her. And when he says, I want to marry you, yes, that's silly. They're in high school, but the film acknowledges that it's silly while still making it endearing and romantic. And I'm not going to say that, Sloane is this wonderfully written female part or anything, but she also at no point in the film has to humiliate or embarrass herself or denigrate herself in any way so that Ferris can have his moment in the sun, which, again, should be something that goes without saying, but it usually isn't in these kind of movies.
It's key to it because, like, John Hughes, I mean, he wrote two movies that are very much exclusively about women, and let alone, and Breakfast Club also has like it's just spreading the wealth around more. So it's like the idea that he's finally doing, and finally, as if we needed it, but like he's doing something that's geared more towards he did Weird Science, which is male fantasy, and Gonzo whatever it's doing, which I for whatever reason find to be funny because it's just all gags basically. But this movie's like more centered, yes, on the male side of things, very much keeps that in mind, but also. I mean, like I said, Jennifer Grey has a good character to work with. The women, like you're saying, basically don't have to embarrass themselves to be characters in this movie, which is important. Like it helps this movie not have a kind of stink on it in the way that other '80s comedies do. So.
And that's honestly one of the things that watching it again for I could pick out 3 or 4 that's dated moments, but other than that, the movie really doesn't have much to apologize for 40 years later, which is kind of impressive.
Does it have any like homophobic jokes? Like that tends to be like a staple of a lot of these. Like I'm trying to think, is there any moment where there's like
not that I recall?
No.
And there's the one bit where he asks the garage attendants if they speak English, but they kind of also tell him basically fuck off. What do you? Of course I do. So, and there's a sense that like he was just being polite. He wasn't being a jerk.
He has yuppie parents. That's why he's
exactly.
He's
and honestly, the only parts of the film, and these are very minor nitpicks, I do think the interactions with his parents are so goofy that that sort of almost breaks the illusion of quote unquote reality. But whatever. And now I'll shut up because I've been talking.
Yeah, I just continue on with the praise of Ferris Bueller's Day Off. It's a movie that I think is more fun than funny.
Yes.
Because like I'm not belly laughing through a lot of it, but I'm like enjoying the hijinks and the fun of it. When I was young when I saw this, and I was like, it was cool, like, and I laughed. I think the stuff I laughed most about is like the principal thing.
I think it's front loaded with laughs. All the stuff that's building up. Once the day off stuff is like adventure at that point.
Watching people, young people doing, and this movie got, has such an iconic status that you could just show a costume from it of, Mia Sara, Matthew Broderick, or Alan Ruck and be like, that's from Ferris Bueller's Day Off. That's how well known this movie is with its bits, its line readings, like everything just stuck and hit with teens like no other. This one is right there with Breakfast Club, with 16 Candles, as being this, usually they throw weird science in there, but I think this one is more beloved, more known, more lasting than that one when it comes to it. And John Hughes too, like this is the perfect marriage of the stuff he's kind of interested in stylistically, as we'll see a couple movies later sticks out like a sore thumb with his music. Like he seems to want to do music video stuff within his movies, and it works here and it doesn't work in like She's Having a Baby. It feels like out of place, or like, wait, what is going on? But like you have stuff like the art museum here, you have this twist and shout moment, you got different things that feel like music video beats, but they work perfectly when telling the adventure part of the movie. They seem to work. There's just such good. It's like he came up with a bunch of comedy sketches, found a way to tie them together into a movie, and put them together in Ferris Bueller's Day Off. And this is like, unlike the other movies he's doing, this is the epic one, right? Because like all the other, Breakfast Club's in a classroom, 16 Candles is like school and a house party, Weird Science is like house party, school, that type of thing.
They leave Shermer.
They go to Chicago.
They go to Chicago.
It's a big
interact
movie.
with the outside world. They do have the fun. There's like a whole nother movie going on at the school with the students, which is a funny thing too. That very much is new, like a classic comedy type element, but new in a Hughes movie where people are happening. Yeah.
Yeah, the escalation of Ferris is ill, we need to save him thing.
Yes.
That is genuinely funny to me.
It is really,
it's like by the time the mom gets home, there's like just flowers upon flowers everywhere. And all this stuff. That's funny.
Yeah, it's like the blimp in the sky during the ball game, I think. But,
right, yeah. And I mean the tech stuff in there that feels like, precursor to the Home Alone stuff coming up. But yeah, this one really hits it out. Like maybe the best all around experience with the John Hughes movie, that the one that you can pop in all this, because the Breakfast Club is fun, but it gets deep and it's more drama. I watched like 16 Candles was never one. Like I never.
In terms of the teen ones, because you're not saying
No,
planes. Like Planes, Trains,
yeah.
those are
Planes,
easy to watch.
Planes, Trains is a Thanksgiving staple.
Yeah.
But like, the teen ones, like, and I was never really tied to these movies like everybody else, but this was possibly the one that like instantly drew me, or I watched more than once. And the other ones, like Breakfast Club, like I mentioned on the commentary, I appreciate and like more now than when I was a kid. and I should have back then. But
it's fun, like because we talked. I mean, I rehash that too much, but like I'm lesser on the Breakfast Club than most people. I don't dislike it, but it just doesn't do much for me. And I always try to think about why, because it's like the ingredients are there, but I think it's because of this, where like we haven't talked about Alan Ruck much beyond just saying Cameron's a very interesting character, but like he is really good here and he's complex, and something about. Maybe it's just the idea of the Breakfast Club being this kind of like 5 individuals that are all like, in this different place, and they're like, oh, we come together because we all feel the same way. Instead, this movie is less characters, at least less central characters, and they, at least 2 of them that we get to know the most have complex emotions that don't rely on, a coming together moment and sitting on the ground. Like it's more
becoming Power Rangers.
It's there's more in the, I don't know, the nature of how this journey in a day kind of affects one person and where his point of view is or whatnot, and the reckoning he has with the car and all these things. Like, maybe that's just stuff just registers to be better in this kind of form that's more lighthearted, or at least geared in a different direction than being a kind of stagey drama set in the library. I don't know. Maybe it's just the formatting or whatnot.
No,
it's got a nice structure where we start in the bedroom and we slowly leave out to it, only to backpedal our steps through everything and back to the bedroom. And it's sort of like everything's set up and pays off. And
I will not say a single unkind word about Planes, Trains, and Automobiles because it's awesome. But I think overall, this is my favorite John Hughes movie, directed or produced, frankly, of that definitive era.
I've seen this more than Planes, Trains. I know that.
Yeah, this is probably the John Hughes movie I've seen the most.
And I mean, I need to emphasize, Alan Ruck is really like Alan Ruck gets like I think he's very good in general. He has like one episode in Justified that's in the first season that I still think about.
Yeah,
Like, and he's so good in it. Like, and like I was so happy to
That's-
see him on Succession being very good recently. But like, he's
There-
always been a very reliable character actor.
And he's 10 years older than everybody else in this too.
But he works. Like,
Yeah.
he's so effective here, and it's so like he seems like he's so clearly the most relatable teen because he's disassociated and like has sad issues with loving parents, or like things that are more relatable than Ferris just being like, I'm pretty cool. Maybe I shouldn't go to school today. Like, I mean, that's it. Like, there's not much to the guy.
And that's partially why the movie works, is because
it's
smart enough to anchor everything around the relatable of the trio.
It's just not afraid to call out its own character, Ferris, who's talking to us and super cool, and we're supposed to give him a pass and everything. It's not afraid to call him out on that.
Yeah. Here's a question. just a logic question. Were there ever cars where you just go, if you go backwards, the dial would go down? Has that ever been a
It's
thing?
illegal.
Can you do it?
I think you were able to, and it's illegal.
I can imagine in very old cars you could maybe do
a mechanic can tell, like, if you were to if you were to be like, I'm selling this car, I'm gonna do it's got this many miles. If you wanted to contest that and take it to it's able to be checked whether that happened.
I'm sure, yeah.
But you could do the odometer backwards, I believe.
I've always just wondered if that's just like a dumb thing that Ferris thought would work. Like, if we drive backwards, then it doesn't matter. Like, it's like, that's
no,
dumb.
because it's working when they're doing it.
It's not.
It's not, though. He completely calls it out and says, Ferris, it's not working. And that's why he says, I guess I just have to crack it open.
I thought I read somewhere where driving it, there was like actually illegal for some, maybe not in the 80s.
I'm sure it's illegal.
Yeah. In most circumstances, driving backwards is illegal.
But no, I just mean, like, in terms of fair, like, every time I hear it, it's like, we'll just drive backwards and remove the miles. Like, even as a child, it's like, that doesn't sound like that should work.
No, I thought he was just bullshitting at the time when I was a kid. Or just it was something stupid he had read in a magazine.
And obviously he didn't anticipate that there were going to be hundreds of miles added to it when they go to the thing.
Yes.
It's like so silly.
Shit, I had a thought, but I lost it.
I love Chicago in this movie, by the way.
Yes.
Like, I think they make great use of it. I've been to the art museum. I looked at that very painting and stared at it the way that Cameron does, because I'm like, this is what I'm doing now.
I like the scene where if you look in the corner, you can see like 3 school buses driving past a bank. And
all right, so apparently no. And Ferris Bueller found out the hard way.
That's a shame.
It'll take back it counts rotations, but it will not.
And honestly, the only looking back in the film, watch it, the only person he really takes advantage of is the maitre d' at the restaurant. And really, there's no harm. He's just slightly embarrassed, but whatever.
Well, no, the maitre d' is a dick. That's the problem.
That too, but I mean,
it's a social injustice that he assumes that Ferris couldn't possibly be somebody. Therefore,
but I mean, even
a maitre d' is surprisingly not played by Bronson Pinchot. Like.
Well, he'd be almost too likable for what they're going for.
Well, I believe they also delete a scene that has the maitre d' get one over on him because they say in the pool later, like, we ate pancreas, and it's because they order sweetbreads, which they don't know, and the maitre d' basically tricks them into eating something they probably wouldn't have ordered otherwise. But because that's technically the maitre d' winning over Ferris, they can't have that in that movie, so they deleted that scene. So.
Gotcha.
Another thing in terms of the film being more wholesome than I perhaps remembered, it's like there's a joke where after Cameron is awoken from his coma, where she asks him, did you watch me change before he got into jacuzzi? And he gives a snickerish yes, but it's like a lesser film would have shown that in a way that would have been quote unquote titillating, but this doesn't, because
it would make Cameron seem lecherous also.
That too,
Also you don't want. But no, you're not wrong, and the dialogue makes it makes it innocent by not showing it. You're exactly right. Yeah.
But yeah, it's I loved this movie when I was 6 years old, and I was pleasantly surprised to see that it's barely aged today.
A good Sloane bit, but since we need to, everyone needs credit for how good they are in this movie, is when she's in class and the nurse comes into the room. And even before she says anything, Sloane's already putting on her jacket. The Ferris is going to get her out. And then when she says, Sloane, and she's like, oh, she's like, me? And then she walks out, already dressed and ready to go.
God damn it.
Good movie.
And even the thing like where, they pull up next to his dad and she kind of starts flirting with him. He's not like lecherous. Eventually he realizes, okay, this isn't, and I better turn my attention.
She has another good bit there. He's like, he's making obscene gestures and licking the glass. And that's a funny line.
Yeah. Anyway, great movie then, great movie now.
Casey
I remember what I want to say really quick, and then I will shut the fuck up. Man. Alan Ruck. There was like a 10-year period between this and like Spin City where he was I would argue, underemployed enough that I was always happy to see him pop up in something, whether it was Star Trek Generations, whether it was Twister, and then he does Spin City, and then at that point he's sort of old enough to be reliable character actor, man.
Scott, you're entirely right, because he moved his family out to Hollywood and didn't get roles for a long time and was really on dire luck.
I did not know that.
Got a couple small parts and then built up. Speed.
Gotcha.
Oh, that's right. Speed, yeah.
Speed. He's on the bus. All right. So we'll move on now to the Casey Kasem's America Top 10 for this week.
American Top 40.
On American Top 40, I'm Casey Kasem.
Hits from coast to coast.
The countdown continues on our way to number 1.
Number 10, sliding three spots, Something About You by Level 42. Number 9, dropping 4 spots, All I Need Is a Miracle, Mike and the Mechanics. And number 8, debuting in the top 10, No One Is to Blame by Howard Jones. Moving up to number 7, A Different Corner by George Michael. Dropping to number 6, Greatest Love of All from Whitney Houston. Number 5, jumping up 3 spots, Crush on You by the Jets. Jumping up to number 4 from number 9, There'll Be Sad Songs by Billy Ocean. New Shoes jumps up 1 spot with I Can't Wait. Number 2, Madonna drops from number 1 with Live to Tell. And that means On My Own, Patti LaBelle and Michael McDonald have the top spot. And just a reminder, you can...
That Michael McDonald?
Yes.
Yes.
The real super tall Michael McDonald? The only man ever to be murdered by Mike Myers and Michael Myers, which is the greatest bit of trivia.
Mad TV's Michael McDonald. Classic duet. Stewart himself.
All right. Just a reminder, you can tune in on Fridays here for a discussion on a music video for one of the songs in the Kasem Top 10. But now we're gonna head back to school. Playing in 1,605 theaters. That's not as many as Cobra, but
I'm going to college. ABC TV calls Back to School the summer's big comedy hit.
How you doing? Shakespeare for everyone, okay?
No matter what class you're in, go. Like Groucho Marx before him, Dangerfield has a field day, says the Washington Post.
Good teacher.
And Siskel and Ebert about the movie say it's a ball. Rodney Dangerfield is absolutely irresistible. Rodney Dangerfield, Back to School, rated PG-13.
Now playing. Consult your newspaper for listings.
Directed by Alan Metter from director of Girls Just Want to Have Fun, the Growing Pains movie, and of course Police Academy.
The Growing Pains movie?
Mission to Scott. I'm trying to read this off. Yes.
Sorry, carry on.
The Police Academy, Mission to Moscow. But the Growing Pains movie.
Also several Olsen twin movies, right? If I'm not mistaken.
I think he might have, yeah.
Yes.
There was a TV movie of the Growing Pains back in the late 2000s, a reunion movie in the early 2000s.
Oh, okay. Mea culpa.
Yeah.
I figured it was like during when the show was running, which was very confusing to me.
Yeah. Written by Stephen Campman, William Porter, P.J. Torikev, Harold Ramis, on a story by Rodney Dangerfield, Greg Fields, and Dennis Snee. Starring Rodney Dangerfield, Sally Kellerman, Keith Gordon, Robert Downey Jr., Burt Young, Terry Farrell, Adrian Barbeau, William Zabka, Ned Beatty, Sam Kinison, Robert Picardo, Edie McClurg, and Kurt Vonnegut Jr. To encourage his uninspired son to get through college, a wealthy and fun-loving but somewhat obnoxious businessman decides to enter the school as a student himself. Composed by Danny Elfman, and Oingo Boingo also appears in the movie. The movie was shot by Thomas E. Ackerman, who, let's get more into this here. Like, he did the original Frankenweenie. He shot Beetlejuice. So there we got this Elfman thing going on and working together already. Moonwalker, Christmas Vacation, Dennis the Menace, which featured Switchblade Sam. Just want to remind everyone. Jumanji, George of the Jungle, The Muse, Rocky and Bullwinkle, Rat Race, Anchorman. There
No
we
Country
go.
for Old Men for kids.
Looking for Comedy in the Muslim World, Scary Movie 4, Superhero Movie, Balls of Fury, and Scott wanted me to make sure I mentioned Alvin and the Chipmunks, Chipwrecked.
Why would I want you to mention that?
I don't know.
Not even the. I love Balls of Fury and I like superhero movie, but I don't give a shit about the third Chipmunk movie.
Really?
So
the second one's the only one that matters.
So, some fun facts here. The character Diane's house in this movie is the Doyle house from Halloween. And the 3-hour oral exam room is the same as the audition room from Flashdance. And this marks 2 movies in a row with that both use Twist and Shout and Edie McClurg. So, here we are. Scott, tell us about Back to School. You're perfect.
Relatively unremarkable without being particularly malicious. It certainly didn't help that we were also watching what I would consider to be an exceptional mid-80s snobs versus slobs kind of sort of movie. Again, this is in the same wheelhouse as Caddyshack or Ghostbusters or Stripes or what have you. Ferris Bueller is its own thing, but it kind of anyway. It's relentlessly okay, I guess. And it's one of those movies that because it stars a stand-up comic, the character occasionally goes into his bits for no particular reason, but
whatever. Well, the writers on the movie are all his stand-up writers too.
Oh yeah, no, it's not a surprise. It's the cost of doing business.
Yeah.
But the first third of this movie is annoying in the sense of how, you have a character that doesn't give a shit about getting an education, blah, blah, blah. I think the reason the movie that works at all, the extent that it does, is it doesn't hammer on any particular arena. It's a very soft, relaxed, sort of leisurely picture. And frankly, the supporting cast is just gangbusters. I forgot how many people are in this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously Downey Jr. very young, playing, I guess at that time was a typical Downey Jr. role, but now feels sort of against type. Although maybe he grows up to be the guy in Oppenheimer, who knows?
The guy with sarcastic one-liners, yeah, really against type there for Robert Downey Jr.
You know what I mean?
No, honestly, like he's Robert Downey Jr.
Tree-hugging, sort of like he's a tree-hugging hippie, I guess. But anyway, but yeah, Emmett Walsh is terrific. Burt Young is always a pleasure to see him. And this is, again, I am not a student of the career of William Zabka. Obviously, he got this role because of Karate Kid. Was this the only other somewhat high-profile thing he did after that?
This completes his trilogy. He had 3 of these roles.
Forgive me, what was the other one?
Man, Scott.
Beyond just Karate Kid 2, it's
Well, is he?
He's
is he
barely
in
in
Karate Kid 2? Yeah,
he's barely in it.
It's his stuff in Karate Kid 2 is stuff from the first one, isn't it?
Yeah, it's flashback plus
yes,
unfinished
beyond
business.
Karate Kid 2. Yes, but no. This,
okay. Then I don't.
There's another one. I'm trying to think of which one it is. Hold on. Keep talking.
Zabka. So he's got
he doesn't have much.
Karate Kid. He's got European Vacation.
Okay, I guess that kind of counts.
Just one of the guys. There it is.
Oh yeah,
just one of the guys.
I'll allow it.
Wow, that's the other one. That's what I was trying to think of. I couldn't think of the title.
Yeah. But I think what's interesting about this picture, as opposed to the loose ripoff, don't remake that I thought was fine. It was Life of the Party with Melissa McCarthy in 2018, which is basically a gender swapped version of this. Is that in that film, and I've seen it once 8 years ago, so if I have a couple details wrong, I apologize. But she's sort of like an underdog. She's not like a giant, rich and famous person of corporate dominance that decides to shrink herself to get a college education for reasons. She's almost like rising up to the whatever. And again, it's just a different dichotomy. Honestly, I don't have a ton to say about this film because exactly what you expect it is. It's not particularly offensive. It's not particularly insulting or egregious or quote unquote toxic in a lot of the ways that, all the ways that Ferris Bueller also is not, but it's also relentlessly mediocre. And it feels more of a pop culture relic, a curiosity, than a must-see, classic. Of all the snobs and slobs comedy, I can see why this one didn't spawn sequels and or a cult following like Caddyshack and Police Academy, what have you. It is relentlessly okay. It's harmless, but it's weightless. It was fun seeing Sam Kinison in his element.
Yeah, that was a nice thing. Aaron.
Hey, what do you know? Scott didn't like another funny comedy. I saw this movie way after I saw something like Anchorman, which I think owes like a lot to what this is trying to do, which is basically just cram in as much as it can into something that is easily disposable in terms of a plot, but has more going on underneath than may be expected, but also at the same time just being funny. I saw this movie, I want to say during lockdown for the first time, and like for whatever reason, I just never paid too much attention to the solo Dangerfield comedies, like Easy Money or Ladybug. I know Ladybug's not supposed to be very good, but like this made me curious
This
about
is Ferris
those.
Bueller compared to Ladybugs.
This made me curious about those because I thought this was fucking hysterical. I was watching this with my dad one night. Like I started watching because I'd never seen it before. We were having dinner, and I was going to do something else after dinner, and then I was like, I just want to finish Back to School because this is killing me. I think this movie's fantastic. Like it really works as far as just being a joke machine. I don't need to compare it to Ferris because it operates on a completely different plane than Ferris Bueller does. This movie is not aspiring to be something life affirming necessarily. Although I would say for Dangerfield, who is, he is a stand-up comedian. He is an old school stand-up, one of the best. It's not that I'm looking to him for acting, although put him in the hands of Oliver Stone and suddenly you got something that's really compelling and dark. And I mean that. I think he's pretty terrific in Natural Born Killers and
Yeah.
The other one. Whatever. Regardless, I there's an undercurrent of sadness in his character that I think it's easy to miss, but I think is there and works as far as why I'm supposed to care about this guy. Beyond the fact that he's generally a nice guy. Like that's something else. Like
Yeah.
as far like you can talk about the snobs and slobs thing, it's like it's kind of beyond that. It's just more his personality is just to be Rodney Dangerfield, which isn't necessarily slobbish or snobbish, just like he's just being himself. So here I like that he's this rich man who has nothing to lose, so therefore it removes any sense of obstacle from him and just lets him just be this guy the whole time. And yet, from an emotional standpoint, you can tell like he wants to connect to his son. He feels bad that he has a wife that just cheated on him and doesn't like he's like, I need to fill a void in my life. It's not the deepest of things, but it's a kernel of something that gives it just a bit more to work with than rather than just be nothing. And even then, you're not wrong. I mean, this movie has a great supporting cast that supports all of the nothing that's going on because it's fun. I've never seen too much of Sam Kinison. Like, I haven't like gone back to watch those sets. He has like what 2 minutes in this movie, hysterical. He's so funny. You can see Rodney Dangerfield trying to not laugh, and I feel like Dangerfield's probably the hardest person to get to break at something. Like he seems like he's impossible to break, and yet as him with Kinison, he seems like he's just holding it back, like because that's how funny Kinison is, and just the brief moments he has here. The Sally Kellerman in this, why? But she's way too overqualified, but she seems like she's having a lot of fun here.
Mm-hmm.
What is the actor's name who plays like the stodgy teacher that she's dating? Because it's the most white person name I've ever heard.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, but
it's like it's like something Whitehead or something like that. But regardless, the stakes put on this remind me of something like I mentioned, Anchorman, but like Old School. It's another one that I really like because I think it's just there's so much nonstop like fun in what's going on that I don't really need to care about other elements that would make this, I don't know, quote unquote better in some ways. Just if I'm laughing, and this has all of that, and it's so cliched in terms of the plotting, sure, but like again, I'm laughing too. I'm having too much fun with this group. The idea that Dangerfield is just a natural born diver and that M. Emmett Walsh of all people is like, That's amazing. Like, it's just there's something just so inherently funny about watching a swim coach admire Rodney Dangerfield's diving abilities. Just saying that sentence is funny to me. Like, it's ridiculous. The whole movie's composed of this. The son stuff with what's his name from Christine? What's his name? Who's the actor that plays the son?
It's is it Keith?
Is it Keith Gordon?
Keith Gordon. Thank you. The other actor in Christine. Um, um, no, I like that their plotting is fairly straightforward, but works for me as far as a father and son like finding a thing to bond over. Like, there's just Zabka and his ridiculous hair. Like, I like that he's a bully, but not the same kind. Like, there's shades to his bulliness here
Yeah,
compared
he's not
to
a
Karate
psycho.
Kid. Yeah, exactly. He's not a psycho who's trying to murder a child for hitting
He's not
on
a
Lizzie
Stephen
Chu
King
once.
bully.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm not going to try to argue that there's like amazing depths to this that Scott's just not seeing or whatnot. But for one thing, I'm laughing constantly throughout this movie. I think it's just absolutely hysterical, more so than a lot of more so than a lot of 80s comedies that I'm just not a big a fan of. But also, Dangerfield, I think, is so on fire here. Right? Between like this and Caddyshack seem like clear high watermarks for him as being a
This is one
comedian
of his
in
higher,
film.
yeah.
And Caddyshack, he's just he's in less than a third of that movie if you really like break down how much he appears. Here he's the lead of this thing, and you can see that there's a way where this shtick gets old. And I'd imagine maybe that's probably the problem with the other, Meet Wally Sparks or whatever else that like just didn't click.
Meet Wally Sparks had the greatest like opening scene, and then the movie just fell off a cliff.
This I'm on board with. I like watching this persona be in this thing throughout and seeing where it goes. It just gets me. So like I don't know. I really I think Back to School's really, really funny. If anything, deserves a resurgence in the realm of like why we should appreciate Rodney Dangerfield more.
I was worried about Back to School going into this because this is one I had seen a few times prior. Like I saw it in 6th grade first time because a friend of mine was like, "Hey, check this movie out. It's got full frontal nudity." It was that shower scene or whatever.
But it's Rodney Dangerfield.
Yeah. But it was a movie we watched because it was big, Rodney Dangerfield funny movie or whatever. So I saw it a few times, but I haven't seen it in a decade or two. But I went back. It's solid. I'm not riot laughing like Aaron is here. But it's funny. But maybe because he saw it recently for a first time and it was all new to him. But like I was pleased at how not dirty it felt and how well they had like the shower scene I mentioned. Immediately the school's on it and he's like, "Oh, it was a mistake or whatever," but they the school defends the woman. And the thing is, he doesn't like go, "Yo, nice tits." He says, "You're perfect." And like it's cleaner and it's funnier because he says it that way or is okay and nicer, and less lewd than I was expecting. And then the opening, I love the opening of him with his shitty wife, Adrienne Barbeau, and just hanging out at this party. And he just like, "Can I get a beer here?" He's just hanging with the staff, doing whatever, makes that sandwich out of an entire loaf. That's like some of my favorite stuff is in the opening. But like, yeah, it's a party movie. We got to have these parties and wild things happen at the parties. But Dangerfield's fun here. He's doing good. This isn't one of those movies where someone just fucks up so bad at some point and stuff like that. It avoids a lot of tropes. I was more impressed with like how well it hold up considering the era it came out, the type of comedies it gets lumped with, and the type of comedian Dangerfield is.
Yes.
Do a lot of it too. So it was pretty impressive. I forgot Terry Farrell was in this movie, so that was fun to see. And she's like hulking over everybody in this. Her height wise is very interesting because I don't remember her on Deep Space Nine being taller than everybody in the room. But no, I enjoy going back to this. And it's crazy. This movie was a phenomenon for this year. Like if you're talking like, hey, Bueller versus Back to School, it's no contest here. But
Ferris doesn't have the triple Indy.
Yeah, but this it has a time capsule of things like, because Dangerfield, like, I don't think kids know Dangerfield anymore. Sam Kinison was larger than life for a good while, and like everybody knew the screaming guy. Oh, it's that fucking Kinison. And you knew the beret people wore backwards and stuff was because Sam Kinison wore it. And he was one of those guys that had the long coat and the gloves with the cut off fingers. And you just knew, like, oh man, this guy's gonna scream about something. Everybody thought Sam Kinison was funny. The VHS stores had his tapes on the shelf. Like, this guy was, gonna be forever. But
I know he died, so it's sad. Like,
yeah,
he's so funny. Like, even when he has like the quieter moments towards the end where he's like, I think he's got it. He's got it. Like, it's just something about his demeanor that just works for me.
Yeah, he's really good, talented. Like, and yeah, he was in commercials, everything back then. Crazy. That this thing's like, it's like, oh, he was a flash in the pan, I guess, but he was on top of the world. There's Dice Clay, everybody. I mean, because one of the things with comedy back then was not everybody had HBO. I don't know if HBO was already in tune to this. There was no Comedy Central. The video store is where you got your stand-up fix from at home. Gallagher was huge. Like, you knew the
well, that's why
Gallagher...
Rod Delirious were like giant box office hits, because they made like movies out of those things.
Right. They made movies out of certain people. Like Gilda Radner had a movie. Prior and like, but like the VHS tape box was like Gallagher had the funniest looking covers. So you knew who Gallagher was because his head was like chopped off or something like that. And then you had like Dice Clay, like, oh, that guy looks dangerous, because he was like punching on his. And it was an interesting time with the stand-ups. And then, when Comedy Central first became like easily available, it was on like, call your cable distributor and let them know. Thanks, Penn. Ben Gillette, for telling me about Comedy Central. But then when that came out, they would show those, and you got to finally see all the ones you never rented or took a chance on at the video store. With that was neat with things. But anyway, so yeah, this Rodney Dangerfield, this is definitely a comedy vehicle for him. Like, let's Caddyshack's one thing, but let's get him his own movies. Like, what do we got here for him? Well, Rodney Dangerfield goes back to college with his son. All right, let's do this. So
no, I agree, especially Kinison. I mean, I was probably 9 or 10 when he died. I think it was a car accident.
Mm-hmm.
And even though, I'm not going to say I watched all of his specials, or I was allowed to watch.
Well, he's on Married with Children too. Yeah, that was a big deal. Yeah,
he really was somebody that, like, people in my school knew who he was, even if they didn't have an obsessive knowledge of his repertoire.
Yeah, he was quite known.
It was genuinely shocking when he died. Again, it was a car accident. So it wasn't like, the two holy shit deaths were, of course, Innocent and Jim Henson, obviously. Though obviously one was a bigger shock to me, per se. Sammy Davis Jr., I think, died around the same time, but even then, I knew that he was an older fella, that, maybe it wasn't as unexpected.
How did Henson die?
He died like
he didn't go to the doctor.
I'm sorry,
That's
1990.
Right. That's right.
It was like,
he was working on Ninja Turtles.
This was like Bob Marley was a similar thing, where they didn't get the health care. They didn't go for it.
Yeah. I'm still mad about that. Yeah.
So yeah, Scott, let's talk about the box office for Back to School and the other movies this week.
I have everything up except Never Too Young to Die, which I don't think it's even here.
They gave audience members money back.
So Never Too Young to Die did
number
14 was $129K.
Obviously, I believe you. I'm just trying to get them all up separately.
I use the numbers.
The numbers is a better site, but box office
week after week, you don't go there.
Well, no, it's I use it for in-depth research. It's just Box Office Mojo is faster, so I'm just trying to pull up a number.
That's why I write before I come.
Yeah. That was pre-COVID, mate.
Surprise, Scott! You're doing box office this week. It's on you. Didn't know.
It's been a long
the
week.
numbers.
I get no respect.
I get no respect here, Miss Peters. What are you doing?
Anyway, the number one movie of the weekend was not Ferris Bueller's Day Off, but rather Back to School, which made a rock solid $8.88 million in 1,605 theaters for a 5,500 per screen average. It would eventually leg out to a whopping, genuinely, $91 million on an $11 million budget.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, as Brandon hinted at earlier, it actually grossed more money than the number two movie, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, which opened in 1,330 theaters with $6.3 million. It would eventually, no slouch itself, leg out to approximately $70 million domestic and 71 worldwide on a $5 million budget. So movies made money when you made movies and put them in theaters? Crazy idea, I know. Crazy idea.
I get it. I get why they have that black scene now, so they can cut it out in China, right? Is that why they?
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
There you
go. Top Gun, still sticking around in weekend 5, 6.2 million, minus 24%. Still playing in quote unquote only 1,531 theaters, less than Back to School, more than Ferris Bueller. It had made $54 million domestic by 31 days. Cobra dropping 44%, losing 153 theaters in its fourth weekend, but still, as Brandon implied, playing in a high, at least of this list, 1,964 theaters.
So it finally went under 2,000 theaters this week.
America has
so
Cobra
ridiculous.
fever.
What do you mean Rodney Dangerfield's taking my screens?
Poor Sly, he gets no respect.
But he beat Arnold this week. He jumped up ahead of him.
Oh, he crushed Arnold. 39.2 million after 24 days in release. Number 5 is Raw Deal, Arnold Schwarzenegger. 2.7 million, minus 49% in weekend 2 in 1,733 theaters. It had made 10.3 in 10 days. Number 6, Poltergeist, The Other Side. $2.2 million in 1,550 theaters, minus 47%. 31 million after 24 days. Short Circuit, 2.1 million, minus 36%, 1,300 theaters in weekend 6, $30 million after 38 days. Space Camp. We talked about this at length last weekend. Right movie, wrong time, etc., etc. It made $1.576 million, dropping 46% in weekend 2, even though it added 4 screens for 983 theaters. It would earn just $5.74 million in 10 days. Number 9, opening in 827 theaters with $1.5 million, The Manhattan Project. 20th Century Fox. There was chatter that this film may have come out a little bit too soon after the Chernobyl incident over in Mother Russia. Again, I don't know if that's the case. It didn't exactly scream box office juggernaut anyway. It's not like the kids were like, oh, yay, it's the new Jon Lithgow project. Whether they should or not is a different conversation. But yeah, this and Space Camp, whether or not they were victims of history or just were not all that commercial, they're both good movies that I'm glad have kind of sort of been rediscovered over the last 40 years. A Manhattan Project would eventually earn just $3.9 million in its domestic run. Pardon. Invaders from Mars dropping 55% in its second weekend. That's bad even for a canon movie in 1986.
Like they found water.
We will not be getting Invaders from Jupiter.
We will not. $926,000 in 1,099 theaters, 3.7 million after 10 days. And then we will discuss this movie next weekend. But Mona Lisa from Island Pictures opened in just 4 theaters and earned $99,000 for a relatively promising $25,000 per screen average. Not to jump ahead of things, it would eventually earn 5.8 million domestic, playing in as many as 162 theaters. And then, as Brandon noted earlier, Never Too Young to Die would earn a whopping $129,000 in North America. And that's all she wrote.
Let's let Stamos lead 5 more films before we decide on whether he can draw people from the... No, just kidding.
I couldn't name any of the other 5.
No. I was just
Now
joking.
I'm curious.
That's how the Taylor Kitsch mentality of like, well, that one didn't. It's not him. Let's do
It
3
gets
more.
Full House pretty quickly after this.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
I mean, it's funny because we talk about David Caruso as sort of the cautionary tale of, he's a TV guy who thought he could do movies. He does like 3 bombs and then joins the biggest television show in the world for like a decade.
There were high-profile bombs.
Yeah. But no, it's funny when you think of Full House. Like, what Laughlin was like a movie star when she joined that. Pretty much. I mean, not that they were putting her name.
She also joins
titles,
late.
But
she joins like 3 seasons in or whatever.
Yeah,
right?
Yes,
something like that. Yeah.
Jesse was there. In the early goings, Jesse was a bachelor.
There we go. All right, so that'll do it for this week in Summer of '86 at 40. Till next time, Aaron, where can people keep up with you?
You can find everything I do on my personal Substack page, codeseek.substack.com. I am the co-host of a couple of podcasts. One is Out Now with Aaron and Abe, where we talk about the newest movie releases of the week. My friend Abe and I, along with a fellow film critic or film fan or what have you, we also do fun commentaries and different things like that. And, of course, the award-winning Two Black Guys Talk Godzilla. My friend and fellow film critic Terrence Johnson and I go over the Godzilla films in chronological order. Always lots of fun there. And I'm on all the socials at Aaron's PS4.
And Scott?
I'm on all the socials at some variation of Scott Mendelson. I run a weekly box office podcast called The Box Office Podcast, which is myself and 3 or 4 younger, cooler, more culturally relevant box office pundits and/or film scholars. Unless they all say no, then I ask Aaron and/or Abe to join me as we discuss what happened last weekend at a theater near you. I also write, run, and maintain the Outside Scoop for Substack, and I am still a semi-regular contributor to Puck News.
All right. I'm on the socials at Brandon4KUHD. Subscribe to the YouTube channel for a visual experience of this series, as well as my 4K Blu-ray and DVD reviews and more. Next week, Pat Morita takes Ralph Macchio to Japan. Bob Hoskins takes Kathy Tyson to John's. Robert Redford takes Daryl Hannah to court. And Winnie the Pooh takes Piglet to the honey. All that and more as the Summer of '86 at 40 continues.
Summer of '86 at 40.
You're still here? It's over. Go home.